Mr. Duncan is next, is recognized for 5 minutes.
Mr. Chairman, I move to strike last word. I rise in support of the McKinley Amendment. You know, I'm a huge supporter of nuclear energy, and this committee knows it. I've spoken time and time again about it. It accounts for over 55% of South Carolina's electrical generation, over 95% of our carbon-free electricity. Nationwide, nuclear accounts for 20% of our total energy matrix and over half of our carbon-free power. It's unfortunate, gentleman from California is talking about nuclear when California is actually bringing nuclear power plants offline. But we do see the governor of Connecticut push to keep their nuclear power online because he understands they cannot reach their attainment goals on carbon emissions without nuclear power. And so they did not decommission the reactors there. This subtle socialist handout to left-wing environmentalists clearly does not actually care about reducing carbon emissions, or else nuclear would be a priority. Glad to hear Mr. Dole from Pennsylvania say something that I agreed with. It's obvious that we cannot meet our emissions reduction goals without nuclear as a central part of this matrix. Further, nuclear is critical from a security and reliability standpoint. We need to prioritize 24/7, 365 grid reliability, and we cannot do that without nuclear power. Just simple as that. I'm a supporter of all nuclear technologies. I support really all of the above energy, but I just saw this article I'd like to submit for the record last week that Missouri's largest wind farm is idle at night for fear of killing endangered animals. We proved that in natural resources that, wind and solar farms were permitted immediately, but offshore energy permits were delayed and delayed and delayed and delayed for years. But we know that not a single mammal was endangered or harmed through seismic testing offshore. But every day, every year, thousands, if not tens of thousands of endangered animals, birds of prey, were knocked out of the air or fried in alternative energies of wind and solar. So I want to submit that to the record, Mr. Chairman. Further, according to the EIA, nuclear has the highest generation capacity factor at 92.5%. Wind is only like 35%. Solar barely reaches 25%. Let me just tell you about nuclear power. You heard the ranking member mention that we should be a leader in nuclear energy, and we should be. We have the capability of being. We've got to think about the next generation reactors. We've got to think about thorium, molten salt reactors that are walk-away safe. We have to think about SMRs, and this committee has done a good job, but it's time to act on SMRs as well. But let me tell you who is acting, and that is China. They are kicking our butts across the globe with nuclear power. In fact, they're using market principles, free market principles, to determine which nuclear reactor design is most desirable in different parts of the world, whether that's in the Middle East where they're pursuing nuclear power and they're sitting on abundance of natural gas and oil, but they want nuclear power. They understand. But China is working on advanced nuclear technology, thorium reactors, not only to power the electricity grid, but also to power their nuclear-powered military fleet and their Navy. That's where China is, and we are so far behind in this because we focus on all this other nonsense. Let me just tell you, nuclear power is where we ought to focus our attention. This is a common sense amendment that I think everyone, both sides of the aisle, should get behind. We've got to reverse course in this country and maintain our leadership in the nuclear industry. The fleet is aging. Mr. Dole talked about the aging nuclear fleet in this country. It is aging. And we ought to put some attention on the aging nuclear fleet. We ought to put some attention on the next generation of nuclear power. These are smaller reactors and these are walk-away safe, and that's where the United States needs to. But guess what? To make thorium reactors work, we need seed material that is U-233, and it's sitting at Oak Ridge, and it's being downblended every year. And once we lose that strategic material, it's gone forever because we don't have another reactor to create that type of seed material. China does. China actually has breeder reactors because they understand what the future of nuclear power is. We don't. We're downblending a strategic material that could be used in cancer research and cancer cures, and we're destroying that asset. This is where this committee ought to have its attention focused instead of this $3.5 trillion socialist spending giveaway plan that we're debating that has no chance to go anywhere over in the Senate. But we're going to spend hours upon hours upon hours doing this. We need to focus on nuclear power in this committee, and I support this amendment without a yield back.
Do we have anyone on the Democratic side that wants to speak on this?
Mr. Chairman, I asked to have an article put in the record, and there was no comment, so.
I don't have it. What is that article? Can we take a look? And then we'll get back to you.